Welcome everyone. Welcome to Quaran-Toons, the show about two guys in quarantine. Yeah, that was pretty
Not
good,
in the
actually.
same house.
No, separated. But you know what happens when they start recording? You don't know, huh? Okay. Anyway, I'm Steve.
Happens. Or I'm Ernie.
How you doing, Ernie? How's it going?
Doing good, man. Staying safe, and learning how to cook.
Yeah,
Because I don't want to go outside.
Banana bread.
I did. We
me
sent
banana bread
my
yesterday.
brother some banana bread. That was. I can't honestly take a lot of credit for it because it was
Okay.
mostly the wife. She made it.
That makes sense.
She's fought. Oh, that's
Okay.
good. Oh, that's great, Steve. Just cut me down.
Uh-huh.
She's following that Chrissy Teigen cookbook to make it.
Oh, okay.
And she bought the pan and everything. Like, she's all in on her. So
The pan was part of the recipe.
no, like she bought so it started out with she made this really good chicken soup.
Okay.
And it's horrible for you. Like, it's got all this fat and like just a bunch of salt in it, but it's super good. And when she bought the cookbook, Chrissy Teigen also has cookware that goes with it, so she bought the cookware to go with it.
Nice. They got her.
Damn, that soup's real good. And so I was like, you know what? Does she have a recipe for banana bread? And they're like, yeah. So we made we've made a couple times, and I think she's perfected it at this point.
You know what's funny? I know Chrissy Teigen is a supermodel, but I remember I feel like she just got like famous out of nowhere. Like, I remember I didn't know who she was for the longest time. And then out of nowhere, at like one of the jobs I was working at, we were doing like a thing on her, and I was like, "Who the fuck is Chrissy Teigen?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." And it was one of those things where it's like, you hear her name once, and then you start to notice it. And I was like, "Oh, so this is a person that's existed. What does she actually do?" And it seems like for the most part, she's just kind of like a personality. Like, people seem to like her. I mean, she's obviously married to John Legend, so I guess.
See, that's okay. That's how I found out about her, because like Cindy was, like I said, she was all in on her before. But personally, I found out, I knew who John Legend was, and then kind of they were like, "Oh, they're married. Look how cute they are." I was like, "Oh, look at that." She blah blah, blah. And then that's how that whole thing started.
That's how you get them. Look how cute we are. Buy our products. Hey,
buy my product.
Hey, don't you want to be cute like us? Look at us. We're having fun.
Buy our products.
Yeah. Dude, try my product. That's so old, dude. I forgot about that guy.
Try my product.
He's probably dead.
Why do you go so dark?
Well, I mean, he probably is. He was pretty old when he was doing those commercials.
He was not that old.
That was like,
you're gonna make us look up Video Professor and see if that guy Try My Product is
only
dead.
90s kids remember Video Professor.
It's free. The risk is free. So what do you got to lose? Try my product.
Dude, you know what sucks too is like those shits were like obsolete within like a year too. Like,
well, he was teaching you Windows 95. So by the time Windows 95 was done and they had Windows 96.
No, not even because of that. You know, like the basics of those programs still kind of carries over to newer programs. I'm saying like YouTube, like and just the internet in general, was just kind of like made his whole thing, you know, obsolete, because it's like anybody who wants to learn should just go on the internet. We don't need we need to wait in the mail for this dusty ass old fucking disc. Sorry, bro.
Dude, do you think somebody has Video Professor? Somebody ripped those Video Professor DVDs
onto
and
YouTube?
Put them on YouTube?
Dude, we should watch them. We should totally watch that, dude. That sounds like something
They're probably
that, like,
the driest thing ever, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
this
like something
is
that
Windows 95.
We're gonna be like, oh, this is gonna be so fucking funny, dude. And then like 5 seconds in, we're just like, yeah, let's not do this. Let's change it. So let's watch something else.
You know, it's literally just gonna be the screen of Excel and him pointing around. It's not gonna be like picture in picture with him on a headset and like this is like not him on camera at all.
No, it's
just
gonna
his
be
boring ass voice.
It's gonna be bad.
Yeah. You know, try his product.
Yeah. But anyway, I've been enjoying quarantine life, just staying safe, as they say. I've been ordering a lot of shit online, just because I've been like not that I have like a lot of money, but I have like I'm saving a lot on gas and like just other shit like expenses that I would usually make throughout the week.
Sure.
So I'm just like buying stupid shit now. Like I bought.
I saw that you tagged me because
what?
some stupid thing was. It's like a sweepstake for a Tifa statue. I was like, is Steven buying statues?
Oh
again?
no, I'm not buying statues. Dude, I don't have any room for figures or toys anymore because I have far too many. Like, the only thing I really have room for is like prints on the wall, you know. So, that being said, I went on eBay and like I bought like this Roger Rabbit like signed print. I don't even know why I bought it, honestly. I was just
you know what I know the moment you did that because you retweeted somebody interviewing the guy who did Roger Rabbit's voice.
Oh, you know what? Okay, so it was because I was watching this show called Prop Culture on Disney Plus.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. So this show it's pretty good actually. Like it's got a lot of that Disney kind of like I don't even know what to call it, like this flair.
Magic? Disney
it's
magic?
It kind of has that vibe to it where it's just like we're going behind the scenes to where the magic happens and to see if we can find the magic in the seams of this costume and bring it back to life or whatever.
Hi, I'm Kirk Cameron, and for the next half hour, I'm going to take you behind the scenes for Disney's Aladdin.
No, it's this big dude. I forget his name. I don't even know how he got that job. He's just like a collector of things, and I guess
he's super fat.
Yeah, he's fat, but he's also like 7 feet tall, so he's just a
giant.
Yeah. Yeah, you see him like interviewing these other people, and he's just like gigantic. Anyway, I guess what he does is like he collects things, but things that are like important to Disney history, he will go out, find them, and donate them back to the Disney archive.
Oh, so he's like a historian.
Yeah, he's like an Indiana Jones, you know.
I was gonna say more like the video game historian.
Oh, okay, but he doesn't
preserving the history of something that
Okay,
it's not important to the country, but it's important to a certain section of people.
No, right, yeah. And when the first episode's on Mary Poppins, which I've never seen Mary Poppins. Sorry,
not even the new one.
No. I mean, I heard the new one is like a sequel, so I was like, why would I watch the new one? Well, anyway, I watched the first one, okay, and then I skipped a few episodes because I saw there's a Roger Rabbit one, so I went straight to that one. But anyway, the Mary Poppins one's pretty cool just because it has like the story about how they have that scene with like her with the bag or whatever.
Sure.
Her bag, I guess it's called a carpet bag. I didn't know that's what it was called. And they're like showing it off and stuff, and they're like, we wanted to track down that carpet bag and see where it was or whatever. And he talks about how back in the day, yeah, I just said that, they had a contest when the movie was out, and they were just like, third place is like a TV, second place is like camera, first place is Mary Poppins' actual carpet bag filled with $10,000. So like $10,000 in the 50s. I mean, $10,000 is a lot, but like in the fucking 50s, it was like a shitload. It's like $8 billion. But I guess back then they didn't just didn't give a shit about these like old movie props. They were just like, all right, on to the next project. Get rid of all these props, like.
Well,
we're not.
I mean, does that really surprise you? I mean, considering like a bunch of really, really old movies like Snow White and all that kind of stuff, they used to just wash those cells right after they were done, dude. And they were like,
every time I hear that, I'm like, do you know how much you saved on those cells? It was like fucking cents. Like, I can't believe they destroyed history.
They just because they were like funny cartoon. Like, think about right now. Think of this most stupidest thing that you could possibly make, and then discarding something of it later, like the original South Park that was made with little like pieces of construction paper and stuff. And they did it like a one-off, and they were like, "This is funny to us, ha ha ha," and then they probably just threw it all in the garbage because they're like, "Well, we haven't recorded. It's fine."
That's
it's like
true.
That.
But to be fair, I think like at that point in time, I don't even know if movie prop collecting was even a thing, It was like so early in the life of like cartoons and in movies that I feel like maybe people weren't wise to those things becoming valuable in any way, you know? Like, I don't know.
Probably
anyway,
not.
Anyway,
Not.
so some guy wins the money, right? And so when the advertising agent, the guy that's holding the contest, who's in charge of it, he goes to the guy's house and he's just like, okay, here you go. You win Mary Poppins' bag with the money. The guy was like, yeah, I don't really want the bags. I just want the money. So you can just leave the money here. And you can just take the bag back. And the guy was like, oh, okay. Whatever. So the advertising guy took it home and he just left it in his attic. And then, like... completely forgot about it, and then like all these years later he like finally found it like in his leaky attic, and he was like, oh, do you guys want this back? Like, so I was like, holy shit, that's crazy, dude. Like, that is like, and it's funny too because it's like, that's not just like any prop from Mary Poppins, that's like her bag. That's like yeah. Fucking, that's like the master sword of fucking like the movie. No, I would assume, right? Like, that's like her main thing. Like, that's where all the props come out of and whatnot. So, I was just surprised to hear that. I was like, holy shit. But
do you want this? It's our cats had their babies in the bag, but it's pretty good.
Yeah. I was keeping my porn in it, but if you guys want it back,
nobody wanted to open that bag.
Yeah. He thought, don't worry, it's clean. It's not.
I took all the porn out, used it, and then put it back in. So it's sanitary. It's good. Hit it with a little Lysol.
But yeah, it was it's pretty cool to hear stories like that, and like they have a story about the I guess there's like a snow globe that has like birds in it in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And they track it down because like they ended up throwing it away, and the janitor found it and was like, "This looks cool. I'm gonna keep it."
They had a contest where they put it in a bucket full of coins, and they're like, "You win the coins with the," and he's like, "No, I don't want it." The janitor took it home. He's like, "That's pretty cool, right?"
Yeah, they said they found it in his broom closet because he had like his little like fucking his little desk of stuff, and it was on there, and they're just like, "What the?" They're like, "Where'd you get this?" And he was like, "I dug it out of the trash." he was like, "I thought it looked cool, and I dug it out of the trash."
What's
you know what
this?
is cool?
Oh,
though?
It's Superman Action Comics #1. Somebody just threw it in the trash, and
yeah, exactly. It's like just
it's holding
like
up my
dude.
desk.
Because you know how much money those fucking things go for now. Like that's ridiculous, dude.
I love that story. It's good.
But it's cool because like since it's produced by Disney, they get to do all this fucking crazy shit that you wouldn't be able to do if you weren't. So like they get to go into the Disney archive and look at stuff. And they're just like, normally we wouldn't let people in here and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. And one of the things they do is they go into Walt's office where, like, it's kind of, I guess they put all of his shit back and they just kept it where it was. And they have, like, a little path that you can walk on. But it's, like, really exclusive. Like, you're not, like, always allowed to go in there and stuff. So
is that
cool.
at the park?
No, that's at the animation studio.
Up in Burbank?
Yeah, and they got Richard Sherman to be in that episode. And if you don't know Richard Sherman, him and Bob Sherman were the Sherman brothers. They wrote like most of the music in the old Disney films, and they worked on Disneyland. So they did It's a Small World. Their names are like in Disneyland on Main Street. They have a music shop that says Sherman Brothers. I think that's their name, Bob and Richard. I think that's their names. Anyway, but it's cool, dude, because he's like fucking a million, and he can still play that song about the birds.
Hell yeah.
And then like before the episode ends, they're just like, he's the only one that's ever allowed to play the piano in Walt's office. Like nobody else.
Well, because he was probably playing it while Walt was there.
He was. He has like stories about how he's just like, we would come in after lunch. And he would just stare out the window and he'd go like, play that song. Play that Mary Poppins song. I like the one that you wrote. And he would just like stare off out the window. And I was like, dude, fuck, it's crazy. Like, that's so cool.
You would enjoy that movie, Saving Mr. Banks.
Maybe. I mean, like, I'm not so much about like I like hearing stuff about Walt Disney, but I like that story more because of Richard Sherman. You know, like he's.
But that's
the
why I
creative...
think you'd like it. Because
okay, is it more about the creative side?
It's more about the songs. It's more
Okay.
about Walt, and it's more about the lady who created Mary Poppins. They're obviously talking about Mary Poppins, but that story takes a back seat to what's actually happening.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, maybe I'll check it out. It's probably on Disney Plus too. So
Everything's on Disney Plus. They put
have...
America's Funniest Home Video on Disney Plus.
I know, I saw that too, and I was like, oh, they own ABC, huh? Holy shit! So whatever. Anyway, they have an episode on Roger Rabbit, dude, and I had to just jump to that episode, and it's really good. You get a lot of good insight into like a lot of things that like even me who goes through like YouTube and like tries to look through interviews and stuff, there was like stuff that I had never heard of. So I was surprised to hear a lot of the stuff that went into making the props, because it's mainly about the props and stuff, not about like animation or anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, considering it's called prop culture,
right? They have that fucking window that he breaks through.
That's
one
fun.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, that is so badass. I would love to have like a replica of that in my house, just like Roger's. That's like one of the best gags in the whole movie, dude. I swear. It's like it's like those little things that make Roger Rabbit so fucking good, dude. It's like the way he interacts with the real world. It's just God. Every time I think about it, it's just like mwah. But Christopher Lloyd's in it too.
Of course he is.
Yeah, he looks at his what is it? Judge Doom, is that his name? The bad guy in that movie?
Yeah.
He's looking at the costume and stuff and all that. It's cool, man. It's definitely an interesting show. You just have to pick episodes.
It sounds like you have to pick an episode that speaks to you.
Yeah, although like the Mary Poppins one was interesting, even though I had never watched it. They go visit like some dance lady too that like choreographed the dances.
Oh sure.
And she's just talking about how like she was like, oh, Walt was really big on just like, how do I say, like people interacting and people getting to know each other and people just being together. Like that was like most important to him and all this stuff. And she gets like all teary-eyed and it's like very touching because she's so old, but it's cool. Definitely cool. Well, I mean, because it's just, I don't know, if it was like...
Just the way you said that, like, hit me. Oh, she's so old.
I mean...
I would assume she's old considering she was speaking to Walt Disney, yes.
I assume she's telling the truth, you know? I assume she's not making shit up. She's not an actor, she's a dance lady.
Oh, God.
But yeah, I would say check it out. It's really informative. It's just kind of got that, like, vomit-inducing Disney polish to it that you might not like, but the information's good. So
yeah, but it's been Disney-fied, so it's like
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, what
lots
about
of
you?
Tinkerbell flying in and going ding, and you know people saying.
I wish it's not really any of that.
Exclusive into the Disney Vault.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's not so much like that, but there's a little bit of it.
Okay.
What about you?
Well,
Ernie?
I mean, I might honestly, you know, I took a peek at some of that stuff, like before the Imagineering one came out. I took a look at the one where how they transformed Disneyland from regular Disneyland into Halloween Disneyland.
Okay.
And it was cool, but it didn't, it didn't call to me the same way that other
I was
other
watching
videos
it.
have.
I was watching the Imagineering story, and it was really good. The only thing is that, like, it just makes me miss Disneyland now, and I can't really watch it anymore. Like, any footage of people in parks is just like, fuck off, dude. I can't go there right now.
Just
like,
fuck off.
Yeah, just go to hell. I want to be there, and I can't be there, so it's like...
You could be there virtually. I saw you playing the Disneyland game on Xbox.
Dude, that game is...
You played it for like... You literally played it just so you could put it up on Instagram. It's like, everybody, quarantine's over. I'm back.
Dude, that game is beyond shit, dude. It's so crazy.
I know it is. I downloaded it for the baby, and I was like, hey, maybe he'll get a kick out of this because there's no dying in it or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I'm good.
Well, I downloaded it for this baby, me, and I was like, it's crazy because it's like, it's actually accurate,
sure,
but the gameplay is actually crap. So it's weird because it's got like this, it like really, it's really top heavy as far as like, like they got the park accurate, but then it's like there's nothing to do really. Like the mini games are all shitty.
And you have to play through like actual levels to get access to the whole park. So it's like, do I really want to go see the whole park?
There's like really weird inconsistencies too. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm nitpicking obviously, but I'm like, there should be a thing for the horses here, like one of those horse tie things, and it's not. So why would they go through the trouble of making everything so accurate and then just not having this here? You know what I'm saying?
Do they have the smokers area near Autotopia? That's what I want to know.
I don't remember. There's like
that's for vapors, so they can vape it up right there.
Everything that's Star Wars branded is just blank because they couldn't get the rights. It was before they owned Star Wars, and I was like, this is just stupid. I was like, if anything, they should take this because the models that exist there are accurate for the most part. They should just take that and upgrade it. Or make it some kind of MMO or something, but it's like, why would they spend so much money making it like accurate and then just not using it? I don't know.
Because anything that Disney can market, they do it. Slap a Mickey sticker on that. You're done.
They have, like I said, they have a good amount of detail. There's just some things that I'm like, why didn't they do this? Or like, why is this whole section missing? This is so dumb. Like, they got so much of it right, and they just didn't do this. Like
Club 33, it doesn't exist in here. It's just blank.
Weird shit.
There's no
like
33.
Yeah. Whatever. I won't get into it.
Right, that's what it is. 33, right? Club 33.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times. Good times, Steve. You playing that game.
I'll be back. I'll be back soon enough. I hate it too because everyone's like, "Oh, 2021. That's when Disneyland's opening back up," and I was like, from what I heard, one guy said that in an article. And everybody was just like, "Oh, 2021, 2021. Put that in your article. Put that in it's opening 2021 next year." It's like,
I feel like everybody's doing that, and I know you complained last week about that, and I'm with you. I don't know where people are getting these dates from.
Yeah.
But all they can really say is just like, I hope it opens in 2021.
I know. It's like don't make any estimates. Everything that's being made right now is gonna age so poorly. Like. Including this podcast, people are going to be
guys. It's over. It's going to be over next week.
Yeah, it's so because isn't it like quarantine's going to be over like May 15th? It's like, can't wait to head to Disneyland. 2 weeks, can't wait.
And then they're like, no.
Yeah, that's not going to be how it's like. So I don't know. But anyway, you've been watching some stuff. I know you have.
Watching a ton of stuff. A company gave me some free movies this weekend.
Ooh, nice.
One of them was Sonic the Hedgehog.
Okay, I really want to hear what you think of Sonic the Hedgehog.
So, Sonic the Hedgehog was one of those things where I was expecting to be really bad because with any of these movies where you stick a cartoon in with like some straight-laced guy, I'm always like, this is gonna be so heavy and so stupid. I can't. It's gonna be dumb. And I've been tricked before.
It was pretty bad.
Got things like Space Jam, and you got things like what else am I thinking of here? Looney Tunes Back in Action. Stuff that was made nowadays where they're just like, and then he came into the human world, and now he's stuck here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But honestly. I actually had a really good time with the movie.
That's literally the plot of Sonic 06, I believe.
Well, there you go. I actually had a lot of fun with the movie because as soon as I kind of had that chip on my shoulder, I started thinking, okay, well, blah, blah, blah. But the beginning was... the beginning had some risks. I loved it. Actually, can we just spoil the movie? Because it's like, it's already... Yeah. It's a rent. It's a rental.
I don't think anybody gives a shit. Yeah.
Yeah. So it starts out with like... Sonic just has these powers. He's like, hey, I'm Sonic. So it starts off like any Sonic the Hedgehog game where he just goes, hey, I'm Sonic. And he just says he has powers. And then some owl lady says, don't go showing that to everybody because it'll get you in trouble. And he's like, nah, I'm not going to get in trouble.
And he's like, shut up, bitch.
Then the echidnas show up, which is like what Knuckles is.
Right.
And they're like, we want that power. Huh?
I was surprised to see him in the movie. Not Knuckles himself, but
I don't think that's him, but that's definitely his people.
No, yeah, like if you've ever seen the original. If you've ever played Sonic Adventure 1, the flashbacks have like echidna tribesmen just like
and they look just like that. That's kind of how I got that. So she's like, hey, and this becomes the whole bit of the movie. She says, never stop running, because with this power, somebody will always chase you. So that becomes the whole premise of the movie. And the way I understand it is, every time somebody wants that power, Sonic leaps into another world with the rings to kind of, save the people, because everybody will just kill anybody or do anything they need to do to get to him. Mm-hmm. So he's in the human world, and it's the beginning got me a little teary-eyed, because it's like the way he protects the people around him is that he stays away from them, but he still likes to pretend that he is part of their world. So it's almost like a Little Mermaid kind of situation, where he collects all these things from the human world, and he has names for everybody. Like he calls the main guy, I think the guy's name is like John Marston or something like that. He calls him Donut Lord because he's a cop who always eats donuts.
You call him John.
And I was like, okay, cool.
That's from Red Dead, Ernie.
Oh, is that? What's his name? John.
I think his name is James Marsden.
James Marsden. Sorry, yeah.
Is that his name?
Cyclops.
So, that's his name.
It's Cyclops, yeah.
That's his name.
I got, and so finally when he has to ask for his help because the government finally finds Sonic, and he's like, hey, we want to know what this is. So they send Robotnik, which is played by Jim Carrey. So when he actually goes to ask for help from the Red Dead guy, it makes sense that he would ask for help from that guy, because he's like,
it's as far as like the structure of the plot goes, it was fine. It just seemed like there was a lot of other stupid shit that was in there, like,
oh sure, like when he flosses, or the part where he goes like hey, let's go see the biggest rubber band ball, or like he says, I gotta go to San Francisco, and he comes back and he's all wet and he's like, I don't know how to get there. Like, it's all funny.
Those were funny gags. I like those.
They're funny gags. Yeah, but they don't seem to intrude too much, because like the story seems plausible it seems plausible enough to suspend your disbelief of it. And
okay, the only part that I thought was actually really stupid, which is kind of like I thought it was like a plot hole, was towards the end of the movie, he's just like, we got to get up to this building because my rings are on the side of the building. The only way up there is this elevator.
Sure.
And it's like, you could just run up the side of the building. There's no way that Sonic could not run up the side of the building. Like, he does that in the games. He could run up the side. He could run up the side of the building. There's no reason that he needed to actually use the elevator. Like, that to me was very like, yeah, that seems kind of dumb.
I assumed he just didn't want to draw attention.
Maybe, but he ran in the building and apparently like went through every room and was just like, oh, we need a key card. So I don't know. Like, sure. Like,
well,
let's just say
totally.
He didn't.
I could see that, because if you really want to like say, well, he could run out there, got the rings, came down, and then use the ring, but he wanted to probably say goodbye, and he wanted to use the rings where nobody else would see it.
I don't know. But I will say that my our nephew sat through the whole movie and like loved it, which is like, dude, if a child sits through anything, that's amazing. So like,
it's a win.
Like, they're doing their job, So I don't know. Like, yeah, like well, I don't know. You keep talking about this. I'll get back to it later.
Yeah, well, like you said, most of it takes place with them kind of on a road trip. Love me some road trip movies, because it lends itself to a lot of great gags, and since Sonic has to leave this world to go to another, it's almost like a little bucket. Like he calls it a bucket list, and it becomes like things that he's always wanted to do on Earth before he leaves and stuff, and that becomes the vehicle of him turning around and saying, "No, I'm not leaving. I'm gonna fight Robotnik," kind of thing. Overall, it's a good movie. I think, though, I have to kind of preface it with, if you are a fan of video games and Sonic at all, in any capacity, I think you'll enjoy it. If you're coming into this with like, I don't know who this is, I don't like video games, I don't know if you're gonna be into it.
Well, yeah.
Because there's a lot of great references in the movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like it plays off a lot of people who know that kind of stuff and know the games and know all that stuff. But honestly, I think you kind of have to have a little bit of... You have to like Sonic or like video games in general.
Do you agree with me, though, that he was kind of annoying? He's definitely
I
not
don't.
Like
I don't agree with you that he's annoying.
You liked him?
I liked him because as long as you pair him with somebody who's there doing... You know, if somebody's annoying, you have to have that character who's doing the groaning for you in the movie.
Like the level,
you know what I mean?
one.
Like somebody has to go, oh boy, this guy. Like you have to have that person in a movie, or else you don't feel represented. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So because that guy's there, he doesn't feel that annoying.
To me, though, it's like whenever I see Sonic paired with a human, it's usually more like, I'm gonna get you, Sonic, and he's just like being cool, and he's just like, no, you're not gonna get me. You're too slow. You're stupid. You know, and he's just kind of like.
He had a little of that.
Yeah, but like, I think it was towards the end he started to really turn into that. Like in the beginning, like when he was so when they're doing that car chase kind of thing,
sure,
and that egg vehicle keeps breaking and like attacking them,
sure.
There was a lot of quips in there that I was just like, dude, just stop. Like these are all bad. Like
speaking of that, I totally understand. I see how that can be annoying. But little things in the movie, I think they didn't have enough of. They didn't have a lot of those moments, and I think that's why they didn't feel too bad. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
Like there wasn't a lot of points where he's like, "Oh, this thing's cute. Can we keep him?" Like there wasn't a lot of those. So I excused it, you know? One thing I did like, his iconic red shoes that are in the trailer.
Yeah.
He's not wearing them for like 90% of the movie.
I
really love that.
I do like when he gets them. I don't really care about how he gets them. It was kind of dumb.
No. That's... Honestly, it didn't matter because that's one of those things that... it's one of those things that just happened. Like, a little girl saw that he needed shoes, and she gave him shoes. That was the extent of it. Because I hate it in these kind of movies where somebody's like, and then they got the shoes, and the shoes ascend from heaven, and are a chosen pair of shoes that only he can wear, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's why I enjoyed things like Daredevil. I enjoyed things like Punisher, because their costumes or their tools were things that happened organically in the show. Like, we know they're important, but it's not important to the character until they get them and they use them. That's it.
But I also kind of feel like that's something that didn't really need to be explained that much. But they had the branding deal with Puma. I get that. They had to have some
but like that's why I enjoyed the way they treated it, because they have a real heavy hand in there about the Olive Garden. Like,
dude,
all the characters have some sort of bit with like, I love Olive Garden. I love Olive Garden.
As far as slipping in like paid like, what is that called? Sorry, I'm blanking here. Well, anyway, like advertising into the movie, it's like the Zillow one is probably like the worst offense. I mean, Olive Garden definitely, but the Zillow one was so funny.
The Zillow one was a little slick. It was slick.
It was not slick, dude.
It was slick.
It was not. It was slick like sandpaper, dude. That shit was like, she turned the computer.
I'm sorry. If Zillow is sandpaper, then Olive Garden was a fucking chainsaw. Because that's what I mean. Like, when you're talking about this movie, you need to, quantify it. All right, like. Everybody was like, do you know they have a never-ending pasta bowl?
Yeah,
32 locations in the city of... Like, it was bad.
Yeah,
but
that was almost like YouTuber level, like, hey, this is Squarespace, like...
I built my site on Squarespace. Real easy. No, that's why I enjoyed the fact that they didn't make a big deal out of shoes, because throughout the movie... You can see his shoes. They're highlighted that they're like trash, and he doesn't even have the same pair on each foot, but they're just worn out.
Yeah.
And the little girl's like, he needs some new shoes, and she's about his size, so she's like, here's some new shoes. And it's not like they were made for him. It's not like Courtney's like, we'll go best with blue or something. She just gave him a pair of shoes, and that was it. That was the extent of it. Nobody was like, hey, nice Pumas, or you know what I mean? They didn't make a big deal out of it. It was just like, here's some shoes. And he wore them.
I was almost like, because they had said before, like, oh, in this movie you get to see where Sonic gets his iconic red shoes or something. And I was like, my guess was just like, oh, I bet like Eggman builds them for some Sonic prototype and he just steals them or something. But
nah, it was a little girl. She gave him.
She was the Sonic prototype. Shoes. Yeah.
Overall,
I'm
probably gonna watch it again. Actually, I own it now because the company was gracious enough and they gave it to me. So I'm glad I own it. I think the kid's gonna have a good time. We're probably gonna watch Dora this weekend because we also got that one.
Oh, that's cool.
So can't wait to do that.
That one got really good reviews actually from the audience. So.
Oh, he watches Dora, so he should be able to identify with that.
Yeah.
But overall, I would honestly tell people to rent it at the very least. Buy it if you're a Sonic fan because there's not a lot of good Sonic stuff.
Okay.
There's great Sonic stuff that I personally like his games in the 90s and some. Like, I enjoy Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. I enjoy some of the more recent ones to an extent. But, when there's a good Sonic thing, you want to support it, right?
Yeah. Like I said, it's probably one of the best video game movies out there. I think I'm not sure if it was better than... Well, you just saw Detective Pikachu, too, right? So what do you think? How do those two fare against each other?
If I was going to pick one to watch for the rest of my life, I'd probably pick Sonic over the Detective Pikachu one, but only by a little bit because I have more ties to Sonic. Mm-hmm. And, the Pikachu one has a twist in it that we already went over. Yeah. And Sonic doesn't really have that big any kind of twist or anything. It's just the story as it is. And I just feel like that one had... I don't know. I guess I just prefer Sonic over Pokemon right now.
What do you think about the ending?
Are you talking about the ending of the movie or like the surprise ending?
The post-credit scene. We could spoil this because no one gives a shit.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you correctly, are you talking about the fact that Eggman gets banished to the land of mushrooms?
Tails. I'm not talking about Tails.
Oh, Tails. Okay, so looks like they're going to bring in Miles per hour.
He looks cool, too.
I think that's cool.
Yeah, I think that's cool too, and
it makes sense because that's what Sonic 2 is. It's Sonic and Tails.
Yeah, I was telling my friend, I was like, this movie was, it was pretty bad, but as far as like video games goes, it was okay, whatever. I think the second one's gonna be like way better. It could only go up, because
it can only go up, baby.
If they're smart, they will keep Tyson on that team,
Oh, sure.
And allow him to make more decisions. Because God knows when he came into the production of this movie, like I don't even think he saw the actors, Wow. I'm pretty sure everything was filmed and he was just there for touching up the CGI and maybe some of the Easter eggs that are spread throughout the movie, but yeah.
Honestly, what I hope for in the second one is that the post-credit sequence, they usually have one of those where they have who was the voice of Eggman? It was Jim Carrey, and then they'll show like a little Jim Carrey, or they'll show a little Robotnik or whatever. I honestly would have preferred a Tyson style animation at the end, as opposed to what they actually did.
Yeah,
I know those take forever, but man, that would have been great to see like a Sonic CD type of animation at the end of that.
Disney always has really good ones, I feel like. Yeah, the one for Wreck-It Ralph I really love. For both Wreck-It Ralphs, I really love their outro scenes. And Bolt has a good one too. But Bolt has a...
Yeah, I just... They
usually have like music
I think it's too. Because these days, good animation, 2D animation is very... It's not that it's hard to find. You can find it. But the people who put the work into, I think, should be more celebrated. Because it's not that it's easier or it's... It's not that it's easier or it's less work or anything like that to do it another way, like the way they did sprite animations, because those actually do take a lot of time too. But they're rare in that people tend to not do them anymore. Like we were talking last week about animators who just gave it up, and they're like, "Nah, we just do gameplay now."
or like, I want to do movies now. Fuck this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's cool though. I'm glad you liked it. It's I feel like it's a pretty solid movie overall. Like as much as I say it's bad and all that shit, it's like.
If I were to give it a grade, I'd probably give it like a B.
Okay.
Honestly, it's a little better than average because I was expecting average and below, and it surprised me in a couple places where I was like, you know what, I like that.
Yeah, it surprised me too. It definitely wasn't like complete utter fucking trash, which is what I was expecting. Well, that's cool. I finished Human Fall Flat with my friend this week, which was it was honestly pretty short. I was kind of disappointed at how short it was, but apparently it was like a small team. It's an indie game. I mean, by the looks of it, you can tell that it's a small team. But like, I guess the Steam version. Well, you can kind of
scale a game by how much it costs, because I'm assuming it was like a $14 game or something like that.
I don't know how much it was. It's on Xbox Game Pass.
Oh, I bet you it's like $14 then.
I did hear that it was on Steam, and the Steam version has workshop stuff.
Oh, so that's cool. They probably have a ton of stuff then.
Yeah, so I assume people just make levels and shit for it, which is cool. But if you have Xbox Game Pass, I would so recommend that game. That game is so much fun. It's just there was a lot of instances in that game where I was just breaking the level just because I knew how to like abuse the physics or something, or like abusing two players as opposed to just doing the single player version. It's a lot of fun. It's really great. There's nothing. Now, would you recommend
it for somebody playing it by themselves or with a group?
I don't know, actually. I think 2 players is like a good amount of people to have, because you can skip certain parts but not completely break it. There's still some puzzles that are like challenging even for 2 people. Mm-hmm. I feel like for one person, there are some parts where it's kind of just like, oh, this is just literally dragging this block over here like really far or something, and it just seems boring, or like, I don't know. Yeah. Try it out though; it's cool. Free. Xbox Game Pass at least.
That sounds pretty good. Like Steam has been having a lot of sales too, and I saw Humans Fall Flat on there, but thank God it was on Game Pass, so I didn't have to, a little try before you buy, or don't buy at all.
Oh yeah. You been playing anything?
Yeah, I was gonna mention. I think 2 episodes ago. I mentioned that I had started playing a game called Kathy Rain.
Yeah, I think that was
a little side-scrollers thing. And the company who published that game, it's called Annapurna Interactive. I hope I'm saying that right. And they look like they're a big indie developer.
A big indie developer, okay.
Big indie developer, because I looked at their game catalog, and they have like 20 or 30 games under their belt. And it's not all the same kind of game. So I try to pick 2 games from their catalog, because they have a bunch of like 5 to 6 hour games. Not big time, just a lot of stuff. And I picked out 2 games that were very highly rated and that won some awards. One was called Florence, that came out earlier this year. And one was called What Remains of Edith Finch. And that came out in 2017.
One of my friends was playing Florence. He said he liked it.
I don't know how much you know about visual novel games.
I know a lot about those. Or do you mean the ones without nudity?
The ones without nudity.
Oh, never mind. I don't know anything about those.
So this one is along those lines, where it's the story of the main character is obviously named Florence, and it goes through kind of just her path in life. But if you appreciate games like Animal Crossing, or if you appreciate games that have like a lot of artistic, like, I don't know how to say it,
influence.
Yeah, it's just drawn so nicely. The music is done so that it reacts to whatever you're doing.
Okay.
And there's so much about it that speaks to anyone who's ever had any kind of relationship or troubles in their life or anything. And the game just goes through this girl's life, different points in her life. And it's super entertaining. The gameplay is very average in terms of what you have to do.
What does it
But
actually
it's kind
play
of
like?
Sorry?
What does it actually play like then?
If you've ever played what is it? What was that set of games called with Wario where there was like, "Hey, do this." You got 5 seconds. WarioWare, I think it was called. So it's like that. Like they'll present something to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like at one point, she's moving in somewhere, and it'll be like, you know, she gets a boyfriend, and you have to move his stuff in with hers. So you have to take some of her stuff down and put his stuff in, and kind of even it out. Okay. So it's like, oh, you don't want to take down a picture of her family, but you could put away these books and put his picture of his family up. And it's kind of things like that.
Riveting gameplay. Riveting gameplay.
It's gameplay that kind of speaks to what's happening in the game. Or like if you're arguing with your mom, like there's a little mini game on your phone, or you could just hang up on her. Depends on how you feel. You know what I mean?
I see. That's cool.
Yeah. I would totally recommend that game to somebody. It's a game that's pretty small. It's like I said, 4 to... Not even, actually. I think that game might be 3 hours if you can make it all the way through in one sitting. And it's very cheap. I think it's one of the first games coming out of that studio.
Okay.
But it's a really, really nice piece of work. It's almost closer to an animation as opposed to a visual novel, because visual novels are all stills, and a lot of this is animated. So it's really great.
It's really cheap,
and you'll
isn't it?
really appreciate the art style.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's really cheap, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really cheap. I think it's only What Remains of Edith Finch game?
Yeah.
That is like in the same vein as that. It's like you're progressing through this story, but you're playing a game. Uh-huh. And people who have listened to us know how much I hate things like Heavy Rain.
Do you?
Yes, I hated that game. It was so bad. But this game, on the other hand, is... It has like this Peter Pan-esque feel to it, because the whole story takes place in this house that is owned by the Finch family.
Huh? Are you saying that it plays like Heavy Rain then, or is it just like heavily story based where it's like a lot of cutscenes and talking?
No, there's not a lot of cutscenes. You play through most of everything. So to kind of set it up, because I don't want to give anything away from this, because it's actually a very beautiful story. But Edith is coming back to her house, where all the members of the Finch family lived at one point.
All right.
But because of the events of one night, her and her mother left. And before that happened, her mom sealed up all the bedrooms of all the different children and people who live there. So when you go back into the house, you have to find all these alternate routes that your grandfather built into the house to get to the different parts of the rooms and look through their stuff. And every time you get to somebody's room, you flash back into their memory, and you get to play their memories.
Oh, okay, that's cool. At one point, it was sounding like Gone Home. Remember Gone Home?
Yeah, see, Gone Home was dumb, because Gone Home, you were literally walking around and you took this and you put it there. And then you walked back to the library and you took this and you put it there. This is not what that is.
Yeah,
this is like...
We started Gone Home, and the first thing you do in that game is you look for a key, and you find the key, and you put it in the door, and that is literally the extent of the puzzles in that game. I was so underwhelmed by the rest of that game. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. You got to look around and find keys and solve puzzles, and it was definitely not that in any way.
That's what I mean. Like, in essence, this plays like that, because you're walking around it like that in that game where you're exploring this house. But there's something, like, first of all, the voice acting in this game is miles above that one. The people in this play their parts so beautifully.
Beautiful. Wow.
Some very good voice actors, including the lady who played Edith. Oh, so good.
Okay.
But
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, but honestly, the parts that really, really got me, the stories that you play through, they get to me because um, you're rediscovering everything, and she takes out this little sketchbook and draws her family tree to kind of remember these things, because the whole point is that she's having a baby and she wants to record her family history for the kid, so she knows who her family is.
Oh, I see.
And then she says that like in the first part of the game, which is why she's going back. But discovering all the little nooks and crannies of the house, that is what sell this. This is what it has over Gone Home, because Gone Home is like go to the library and you just walk over to that side of the house, open the door, and go to the library. You know what I mean? But the beginning of this game, she's like, Mom sealed up all. After that night, Mom sealed up all the doors. So you literally see that like there's boards and nails across everything, and there's no crowbar. There's no like.
Hey, there's
no like Half-Life 2 thing where you just rip everything off the thing.
Yeah.
You're just some girl and you have to find an alternate way into these rooms. That your grandfather, who is apparently this fucking master craftsman, he figured out a way to like connect all these rooms in some weird way.
That's why I said it was like Gone Home, because Gone Home has that too. There was like hidden passageways in that house that like create shortcuts so that you don't have to. Yeah.
But again, one of the better parts of this game is, for example, she'll find like this little spot in her niece's room, and she'll open it up, and it's her diary, and then all of a sudden you're her niece telling a story in that book, and you have to do like she'll be like, one of the parts is she's like, tonight I was having a dream where I turned into a cat, and then you're a cat and you're like walking around the house. So that's kind of how you discover other parts of the house.
Oh, cool.
So it's very good. Not challenging, because they make the gameplay a lot like Florence, where it's like, for the situation, you just have to kind of just move forward. But the story engrosses you a lot, and that's why you always want to push forward.
Okay, but there is puzzles.
There are puzzles, yes.
Like, okay. Because I was going to say, it's not like games like Gone Home can't exist. Because I remember playing Firewatch. I believe that's what it's called. And that game is basically just a walking simulator, but it's really good. I enjoyed it for the most part. I thought it was cool because of the characters and because of like the way it's portrayed. You're like a guy with a walkie-talkie, and this girl is talking to you on the walkie-talkie the whole time. So you kind of get to know them. Those characters, you get to know them over just them talking over the radio, and it's kind of cool. But that's
you're gonna get that from this game, because every time you discover a room, you get to find out more about the person who was in that room, and that's the charm of the game. And man, it's gonna be it's heavy, but man, it's not a game I probably play again unless I really wanted to get the achievements. But
I think the story-based games like that are very just like one time. You got the story, you're good. You don't have to play it again, kind of thing.
Yeah, but thankfully, if you do want, in this game, it has one of those things where you at the end you open up her book and you could just go to that story and play it again if you want. Because cool. honestly, there was one story in particular, and if you guys play through it, you'll know which one I mean. Where you're trying to do this, you're trying to do two things at once with two different control sticks.
Oh, okay.
But somehow it's very intuitive once you start doing it.
Okay.
So, like I said, it's great. I can't recommend it enough. That one, if you only buy one, I would recommend Edith Finch, because Florence is a lot smaller. I believe Edith Finch is only like, I want to say it's only, it's part of a bundle right now. That's why I'm like, yeah. It's
Atticus Finch.
It's $20. I would honestly wait for it to go on sale, because it goes on sale all the time. But it's still worth a game worth playing. So just put it on your wish list, or if you see it out or anything like that, definitely bookmark it, because I'm sure it'll drop in price. I'm this close to buying the soundtrack, honestly, because it's that great. You know, good soundtracks.
Funny? I looked up this game. And like on this little bar up here that says like related to Edith Finch, it says Gone Home.
Well, there you go.
Is it the same company?
It's not the same. I don't believe it's the same publisher.
It's not the same anything. I wonder why what the correlation is there. Well, anyway.
I think it's just that those are all under the same like story rich and novels. True. Because a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing under that one is the same thing. But again,
shit. This one has great reviews though.
Huh?
This one has great reviews.
Yeah, like I'm telling you, I played it and I expected to. Honestly, I trusted the publisher. It was one of the few times I've trusted the publisher, and they're like their best games out of there were those two.
That's not a.
No, say what you were gonna say.
I was gonna say that's not a bad habit, like because we played a few Devolver games, and then we were just like, let's just start playing Devolver games, and they've all been pretty awesome. Fucking good. Yeah, so.
Yeah, so I would highly recommend this Florence, which I think is only like $4. And this one, Edith Finch, but I would probably wait for that to go on sale because you can probably get the soundtrack and this game for around $20 when it goes on sale.
Okay. I'll check it out. Definitely will check it out.
Yeah, what have you been playing? Besides Fall Flat.
Human Fall Flat? Nothing really. Like, I mean, Animal Crossing is just like part of my life now. But as far as like new stuff, like after I finished Final Fantasy VII, I was like, man, I'm gonna play that game again, and I have not started it again. So I don't know what I'm gonna play next. But we did play the first level of Streets of Rage 4 because it's on Game Pass right now, which I was extremely surprised because that game is like $30 or $25, I think. And I was like, dude, this shit just paid for itself. This Game Pass thing just paid for itself.
That's why Game Pass is a deal, honestly, because if you think about it, right? I think the Game Pass is what? Is it $14 or like $10 a month?
I think it's only like $8 for the PC one.
Okay, so if you think about that, let's round it to $10. Let's say it's 10. All right.
Okay.
You pay that for the whole year, $10 a month. That's $120. That's two $60 games, right? Pretty sure that you play maybe 3 or 4 games off of this thing, and that's it. You've paid for this thing already.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And they have some exclusives, like when Halo, what's it called? When Outer Worlds came out, I played that for a good like 6 or 7 hours.
I kind of want to try that one too.
I'm still kind of playing it. But that's a $60, $70 game depending on what you get. Like, I played Gears 5 right away when I got this. That's a $60 game for sure. So I've definitely paid for this game overall. I've definitely got my money's worth out of this game. And now I can play Streets of Rage without having to buy it. It's the same deal.
I was telling Ernie before this, I don't really like beat 'em ups. I actually despise them. I will refuse to play them. But there was when this game got announced, a bunch of animators that I follow were like, we worked on this, and I was like, oh, really? That's fucking cool. I didn't know that they would go back to Streets of Rage, first of all, let alone hire like people that do traditional 2D animation. So
I mean, it worked for Katana Zero, didn't it?
Yeah, but I mean that's like, I mean, not that pixel animation is any like worse or anything, but it's more common than just 2D. I feel like it's just more, rare for like this type of game. Anyway, it looks beautiful. It's really cool, and the online seems to work. It's one of the ones where the online isn't as buggy as like some of the other Xbox games. So,
it's funny you say that because
it's only on PC.
No,
yeah.
Right before I got on,
Uh-huh.
I was thinking, like, what am I going to talk about? And I ran through the games I have downloaded on Game Pass, and I clicked on Streets of Rage 4, and I'm looking at the reviews. First one out of the gate, because it's got a rating of 3 out of 5.
Okay.
I'm not trying to do X-Play things. I'm just saying 3 out of 5. And the first one is 1 star, and it says, can't connect to anyone online. The game is good, but Windows 10 version won't let you connect with anyone online, so I gave it 1 star. And the next 3 are the same thing. Can't launch game. Crashes as soon as you get online.
It's the Xbox Game Pass really needs to work on PC. It's got like so many bugs, but when it does end up working,
might have just been a launch thing. Honestly, I think if we try to do it this next week, I think it might work just fine.
I mean, sure, it's been a while and it's still messing up. But
when did it come out? I thought it came out like last week.
Streets of Rage?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it came out. Yeah, it came out soon, or recently, I should say.
May 30 or April 30th.
Yeah, it was like a few days ago.
Yeah.
But I mean Xbox in general, the game pass
sure.
on PC. Yeah,
sure. We heard that rant last week. That's just been out for.
Yeah.
Get your game together.
Yeah, but anyway, good talk, good catch up. Go watch Sonic. What I was gonna say about Sonic before was that it's crazy to me when kids watch something just because like first of all, it's hard to contain a child's attention, to retain that attention for a long time, right?
Definitely.
But when a kid connects with something, it's part of their life forever, You will always remember that. Like, even when you're an adult and you're nostalgic about something, it'll, like, trigger something in you that just makes you happy. And I know that's kind of a weird tangent, but I was listening to another podcast about the Matrix, because I had just watched, like, this thing about the Matrix. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about how, like, this guy was like, oh, I showed my kid this movie, and he fucking loved it, and he was like, do they have more? And then he didn't want to show them to his son because he thought that they kind of sucked. But
this is a Star Wars dilemma too.
Yeah, and I get that that's kind of like, okay, it's kind of a joke. It's like, 2 and 3 were shit, nobody cares. Mm-hmm. I think it's so important to, like, if your child wants to watch something like that that's, like, creative, just fucking do it, dude. Like,
sure.
Like, yeah, maybe the 2 and 3 are not bad. It's like, I do not regret watching those movies as a kid. Like, you cannot convince me otherwise. Like, all those did was, like, fuel my creativity, and, like, I had, like, fucking amazing conversations with, like, my friends about, like, theories and shit about the Matrix. Like, it was fun. Like, I don't know what else you want from a movie, if it triggers a nice discussion, or, like, if it entertains you, if it makes some lasting appeal on you as a child, it's like, it can't be bad, right? Like,
I agree. No, I definitely agree. I mean, I've watched those movies a lot. That's one of my all-time favorite movies is The Matrix.
Yeah, and the first one still fucking holds up so well. Like,
definitely.
I'm one of the few people that does like the second and third one. I don't give a shit. Like, when it comes to, like, I'm still using that same muscle in my brain that's just like, I don't give a shit about, like, plot holes or continuity or whatever, or like, oh man, this looks so bad, CG's bad. I'm just like, I could do something like this, or like I could write something like this. Like, that's where I'm looking at it, like, that's how I'm using it. I'm not necessarily concerned about, like, because I know, like, when people get older, they get more critical, especially me. Like, I'm very guilty of that, but I just try to use what I got there, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I understand.
But yeah, that's my mini Matrix rant.
Well, you still have homework because you didn't watch Oliver and Company this week, and I want you to watch that.
No. Yeah, I will.
I want you to watch that because I watched Rescuers Down Under, and I want to talk about it next week.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's got that. The great thing about that one, and I'll talk about this next week. It's right in between when Disney started doing, like, some good 3D stuff, but they still had a lot of great animation. So I can't wait to talk about it for next week.
Yeah, that seems like the I remember, like, Treasure Planet was one of those movies.
That was too much 3D.
Or, like, Atlantis. One of those has, like, 3D elements that, like, kind of look like
both of those movies had, like, big 3D elements in it.
It wasn't until, like, Lilo and Stitch came out. It wasn't until, like, Lilo and Stitch came out where I felt like it was really just like, oh, that looks fucking good. Like, right? Like, is that 3D or is it not? I can't even tell, Like, some of the spaceships in that movie look like 3D, but I don't even think they are.
No, I think they are. And the same thing with Atlantis. I believe their water vehicles and everything is 3D. But, we can go into it.
Yeah. Well, that does it for this week, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll be back next week sometimes. another dose of Quaran-Toons. We'll see you guys next week.
See you next week, guys.